So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. And we get back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Thursday, December 31st. Everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Thursday, December 31st, the last day of 2020, which is a good thing. Obviously, excited for 2021 to come. 2020 was obviously not a great year. Was a lot of bad things happened. You obviously had the entire virus, happen, which, if you want to go into regular everyday life stuff, just really shut down everything. Just the world was kind of put on, in a way, the world was kind of put on, pause. And, you obviously had the world was put on pause, kind of just, the whole, being inside of all that stuff. It was kind of just put on pause. And then you obviously had, in a sports terms, you obviously had the entire sports, all the sports leagues, they got put on pause. March Madness got canceled. MLB, NBA, we've been through it. I was doing podcasts during the time I actually started them up during the prime of the prime of the virus, was because I, not just kind of give me something to do, and also, there was not too much sports to talk about, but also kind of give entertainment to you guys as well, the viewers, because I know it was a lull at that time, with no sports on. I know it was, for me, I only watch sports. I really only watch sports, during the night, I literally only watch sports, so it was obviously a big lull for me, but hopefully 2020 is a lot better in store. Obviously, it obviously seems like it's going to be better in sports terms. Sports are back in the full swing. We're going to start off 2021 with the NFL playoffs. Obviously, that's going to be exciting. We're going to start off 2021 with a NHL season starting up. You got the NBA season just getting into the swing of things. And then you got MLB. I was just talking to someone yesterday about this. It's crazy to think, but MLB pitchers and catchers will report in about a month and a half. Mid-February, usually they report like after the Super Bowl. So a lot of within the first 2 months of 2021, there should be a lot of good sports to talk about and watch. So it's exciting. But yeah, the Nets, obviously, to get on to just a recap of last night, the Nets got the win. I was very excited about that. I was watching that game and then flipped on the Florida game, although the Florida game was pretty much a blowout. I actually had the Nets game on TV, Florida-Oklahoma game on my phone. That's obviously, I just wanted to see that. So mainly, but obviously Kyle Trask really struggled yesterday. But Nets won. They got the big dub. We moved to 3-2 on the season. Katie had a big day, 33 points, 11 rebounds, I think 8 assists. He was 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Just something remarkable what this guy is doing, coming off an Achilles tear. He is playing like what he is. He is living up to all the expectations us Nets fans have gave to him. And it was a great win yesterday for us, and we have a day off today. Then we have a game tomorrow against the Hawks again. Obviously, NBA's thing to try to limit the travel, so the Hawks will stay in Brooklyn. Then tomorrow they'll play, and then they'll probably head on out to wherever their next destination is. But yeah, it should be exciting. I'm excited to watch the game again tomorrow, and there's a couple good games on today. And then obviously you got the New Year's Eve, and then today, and you got the whole the ball drop and all that stuff, and then yeah, so it should be exciting. But these are the topics for today. We got MLB free agency rumors, Yankees and the Mets. There's been two big rumors. There was actually a story that broke yesterday about Trevor Bauer, and I did say, for topics, because today there's no Thursday Night Football on, for topics that I'm going to be looking at, some breaking news stuff if there's any breaking news. So there's the news broke that yesterday that Trevor Bauer has kind of set his amount of money he wants from whatever team he goes to. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but obviously, it's going to be really exciting to see how this unfolds. And the Mets and George Springer, the Mets seem like the front runner for George Springer, but now reports came out yesterday as well that the Mets and George Springer are still far apart on a deal. So I'll get into that, tell you how that could be significant, and kind of get into a little bit more Mets stuff. Mets are a hot topic right now throughout the MLB and New York sports. They've had all this talk about getting these big-name guys, and they haven't gotten any of them. We'll talk about that. Then Bills allowing fans, NFL, Bills allowing fans for the playoff games. We'll get into that. It's kind of an interesting topic, but I want to talk about another breaking news. It's kind of an interesting topic. Came out yesterday. It'll allow like 6,500 fans. It could affect the players in a way, but I'll just kind of read you all the logistics and stuff. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see it. Obviously good for the Bills and good for the city of Buffalo, obviously. For them to obviously have fans. They got some of the most diehard fans in all the league. You got the Bills Mafia, that entire group of people. They are all crazy. They're big diehard Bills fans. Some of the craziest fans in the entire NFL. Obviously, it's good to see them. It's good to obviously see that happen. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the NFL too. I like, obviously without fans it's fine, but with fans I obviously much prefer with fans. So it's good for the Bills and good for the fans. For the Bills, and I would imagine there's a lot of people that are going to capitalize on that opportunity to go to a game, especially for the Bills. They haven't hosted a playoff game in a very long time. So obviously that's, I'm sure, very exciting for Bills fans. Then we got college basketball, college football, Nets, Knicks, and the NBA. A little bit of a shorter final topic. We don't got Miami. Miami's pretty much done. They obviously lost, and they're done for the season. College basketball, college football, all that good stuff. Couple really good college football games on tomorrow. Got the college football semifinal games. And, like I said, it's a hot time for college football, a hot time for NFL, and obviously tomorrow will be our Football Friday game pick. So it's another packed podcast like always. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So obviously, the MLB offseason. This is another thing that 2021 should have in store, which is exciting. And I'll get to that in just a little bit here. The 2020 MLB offseason so far has been pretty quiet. There hasn't been too many moves, with too many big name players. You obviously all saw McCann. You obviously saw James McCann go to the Mets. To talk about local, you saw James McCann go to the Mets. If you wanted to get into the New York sports stuff, James McCann went to the Mets. The Yankees haven't really looked at anyone yet. You obviously still got the LeMahieu rumor out there. The two biggest moves so far have been the Yu Darvish and Blake Snell to the San Diego Padres, I would say. Those have by far been the two biggest moves so far for the MLB offseason, I would say. I mean, there's been some other small moves with the prospects and some minor league farm system moves, but other than that, it hasn't been anything crazy like, LeMahieu signs a 5-year, $400 million contract with the Dodgers. We haven't heard any of that, or extension with the Yankees. We haven't heard any of that. We've heard rumblings. It's been a whole lot of rumblings. It's been a slow start to the MLB offseason, and there's still a couple big names on the board. You got LeMahieu who's still out there. You have JT Realmuto who's still out there. You have George Springer who's still out there. And probably the biggest name that's out there is probably Trevor Bauer, a pitcher that was for the Cincinnati Reds. He is still out there. So MLB rumors, Mets and George Springer still far apart. Trevor Bauer seeking upward to $40 million per year. So this has a big impact. And to kind of get into my 2021 point, to even make it more exciting to get into 2021 is the fact that there should be a lot more moves happening towards the new year. That's why we kind of saw it heat up a little bit this week. Now we're all of a sudden, this is a thing. I said this a couple weeks ago. I was talking to someone. I don't know if I said it on the podcast or not, but I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago about this. You're going to see around late December, early January, things start to heat up. What I mean by that is, okay, you got your first huge moves. You got Yu Darvish and Blake Snell to the Padres. Now we're all of a sudden hearing how much money Trevor Bauer wants, and now we're hearing that the Mets and George Springer are far apart. This has all happened within a span of 3 to 4 days. So we are now starting to hear things a lot more, which they're starting to heat up, and they're going to start to heat up, and they're going to start to become bigger storylines. So we obviously heard about the Mets and George Springer. We obviously heard about Trevor Bauer seeking $40 million. I'm going to get into both these stories, a little bit of each. First off, let me read this quick article, and then I'll get into the George Springer stuff and stuff like that. But before I actually read the article, I think, for all this talk that the Mets are doing, we're going to go out and get this guy, we're going to go out and get this guy, we're going to pay these top level guys, we're going to get George Springer, we're going to get Realmuto, we're going to get Trevor Bauer, we might even take a look at Lindor, depending on what happens with Meta Rosario. We're going to go out and get these top dollar guys. That's what we're going to do, right? We're going to go out and get these top dollar guys. That's what they've been saying. Hold on one second. That's what they've been trying to say about these top dollar guys, right? That's what they've been trying to say about these top dollar guys. We're going to go out and get a Bauer. We're going to go out and get a Springer. We're going to go out and get a Real Muto. And that's the thing. That's really, really, really the thing. We're going to go out and get a Bauer. We're going to go out and get a Real Muto. But with all that talk that Steve Cohen's doing, we haven't seen any of that at all so far for the New York Mets. And I'm happy about it because I don't like the Mets. I despise them. I'm a Yankees fan, cannot stand the Mets. So to see all this hype up about them, and then for them possibly not even to make a move, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I would love to see that personally. I don't like the Mets, so for them to miss out on every free agent, that would be big. But it's the truth, and I don't want to sit here and already make assumptions that it's going to turn into what it's going to turn in. I don't want to all of a sudden say that it's going to turn into what it's going to turn into, but is this whole Steve Cohen, New York Mets, we're going to get all these top dollar guys, is that really going to, is that going to come all to fruition? Or is this all going to be a big hoax? It's going to be a whole lot of talk and no action. What's going to happen for the New York Mets? That's one of the big things. And I will get to the Yankees in just a little bit. The Yankees have been less on the rumors. There's been a whole lot more Mets stuff. The Yankees aren't going to go out there and spend $400 million on a guy. We're not. We're just not. We already got Cole, ton of money. We're just not going to spend that much money this offseason. I could see it happening. We spent the money last year. We spent the money in years past. So, obviously, we're not going to spend a ton of the money. But for the Mets, a team who's supposed to spend all this money, they're not. They're far apart with Springer. And now Bauer. You can look at the Bauer situation now for the New York Mets as a positive or a negative. You could look at it as a positive. I'll start with the positive because you always want to be positive. You could either start with the positive and say, you know what? Well, at least us Mets fans, we know what Trevor Bauer wants. Or you could say the negative is, oh my gosh, he wants $40 million per year. We might not be able to get George Springer and all that. So all this talk the New York Mets are doing with, we're going to get Real Muto, we're going to get Springer, we're going to get, we might look at Lindor, we want to get, Bauer. All that talk about that, all of it, let's get Lindor. Why don't we get Lindor? Now that Bauer wants this much money, you might only have to settle on 1 to 2 players. You got James McCann's smaller contract, and then you got James McCann's smaller contract, and then maybe you get a big contract in Bauer, but then what happens with Springer? The Mets have to make a decision here. They're going to have to make a move because these players aren't going to wait. I'll tell you what, the Angels are looking at Bauer. Some other teams are looking at Bauer. Angels are looking at Bauer. The Reds have pretty much ran out of the race. The Yankees are in the race, but there's that part of the reason where it's like they're there, but like they're kind of just there. Like the chances of them, like the Padres, the Padres, there's rumors now that ever since they got Yu Darvish and Blake Snell, they might just add another huge player on that roster. So you don't know, man. But I'm telling you, for all this talk the Mets are doing and all this stuff about, Sandy Alderstein and Steve Cohen's going to bring this team a World Series, I want to first off say that stuff has not happened, and the fact that they are far apart from George Springer, it not looking like it's going to happen. And with this much money Bauer's going to want, they might only get 1 or 2 big free agents, and that's it. Not 4 or 5 what they wanted. So let's get into this quick article. MLB rumors, Mets and George Springer still far apart. Trevor Bauer is seeking upward of $40 million per year. The new year is right around the corner, and we're still waiting for our first major MLB free agent signing of the winter. Obviously, Blake Snell and Yu Darvish were trades. Only 10 of our top 60 free agents have signed, including only 1 of the top 14 and 5 of the top 25. Things will pick up eventually. Here are the latest hot stove rumblings. Mets Springer still a good distance apart, like I just said. They said, okay, you can look at it both ways as well. You could either look at, they're far apart, which means they're negotiating, but neither side's really coming to an agreement. Or you can look at it as, they're still far apart. Or you can look at it as, okay, at least they're negotiating, at least they're coming close. George Springer, by the way, last year he batted .265, had 37 runs scored, 14 home runs, 32 RBIs, and 1 stolen base. For a guy in the Astros, I can't stand the Astros, but I got to give credit where credit's due. He's a good player. He can hit. He's a good hitter. He's a pure hitter. He's going to hit line drives. He's going to get singles. He's going to get on base. That's one of the big things. I mean, you see, he's got 32 RBIs. He's a big hitter to come up in big moments in the game and get hits. He was very dominant in the playoffs. When Jose Altuve was struggling, he was able to come up big. There's a lot of guys, he was pretty solid. So for the Mets to get him, the Mets don't really have that bat. He's almost like not like a LeMahieu, but he's in a way he could be like a little bit. LeMahieu's probably one of the best pure hitters in the league, but Springer is also a very good pure hitter. He's not going to always hit a home run. He's not up there for home run or nothing. He's going to hit the singles. He's going to hit the doubles. He's going to be worth the money. He will be worth the money. It's just a matter of can you get him the money. If I was the Mets, I would more push to giving him the money because you also got to remember, you have DeGrom, you have Stroman, you're getting Syndergaard back, okay? If Bauer is not the best option, if you don't want to pay Bauer that much money, I would focus on getting Springer more than Bauer, especially the fact with what's happening with Bauer. There's been a lot of news like he's a little weird of a guy. He can cause a little bit of off the field issues. He's very talkative. He talks a lot. So George Springer more kind of cool. But let's get into this. So the Mets and free agent outfielder George Springer are still a good distance apart in contract talks, reports SNY's Andy Martino. Martino adds Springer is said to be seeking north of $150 million, and that the Blue Jays remain in the mix to sign him. Our A.J. Anderson ranks Springer of the number one free agent on the market. New York signed Trevor May and James McCann insensible lower cost contracts earlier this offseason, and we're all kind of sort of waiting for them to make a big splash. Springer would give the Mets a true center fielder, something they've lacked in recent years, and also a power righty bat and a balance to balance out the lineup. This is a little that's a little too lefty heavy at the moment, which is true. I've said that a ton of times. It's been a little heavy at times. Lefty, you got McNeil. I can't think of them all top of my head, but they do have a little lefty heavy. And they even said, too, power righty bat to balance out the lineup. I could see it as balancing out the lineup both ways. Not only does he bring the power, he'll hit a home run every once in a while. And also, you look at the numbers. He had 14 home runs last year. He had a good season last year. Not only will he, give you, home runs and stuff, but he's going to get the RBIs. He's going to get you the runs scored. And if you look at it, his stats have really improved in almost every year. His runs scored have, his stats have, improved a lot. He had less home runs this year, but that's normal. He's not going to hit 39 in a 60-game season. He had 32 RBIs. He's not going to hit 96 in a 60-game season. And this is a guy, like I said, too. This is a guy, too, that obviously is a good hitter. He's a pure hitter. He's not always gonna hit a home run. He's not gonna be home run or strike out. He's gonna get on base. He's gonna look at pitches. He's gonna take his time in the pocket. And like I said before, this is a very lefty heavy lineup. Now you look at it with Cano being out, you don't really have that other lefty now. But it is a very lefty heavy lineup. So I could definitely see this being a good move for the Mets. But the thing is are you gonna be able to give him the money? If they're still a very good distance apart, you're looking at this as, okay, well, we're still a good distance apart. You could look at it two ways. Okay, well, at least we're negotiating, or at least we're coming up with ideas. But you could also look at it as, okay, we're a good distance apart. The Mets don't want to spend all this money. That could be a negative. So, I'll tell you what, man. For all the talk the Mets have done for the past couple seasons, or for the past, couple months, since they really got Steve Cohen, which I don't quite know when they got him, somewhere around probably September area, when the season pretty much ended. Since Steve Cohen bought the team, there's been all this talk. Oh, we're going to go out and get this guy. Okay, hold on, Mets fans. Let's get this guy as well. You know what? Let's add this on, and let's get one more guy. Have they done any of that right now? No. Now, like I said earlier on in the podcast, with the new year pretty much, the new year is literally tomorrow. With the new year being tomorrow, we've seen this week, it's starting to heat up. You're now starting to hear that Springer and the Mets are far apart. You're now starting to hear that how much kind of money Bauer wants. You already saw that Darvish and Blake Snell got traded. Things are starting to heat up. So I'm sure we'll find out within the next week or two what's going to happen with the Mets and Springer. But I'll tell you what, if the Mets want any real shot at trying to make a playoff run, they need a guy like Springer. Even if it's not Springer, they need someone that can hit the home run and get a single in the walk and get on base. And they also need a good center fielder. Jeff McNeil, he can't be the only good one out there. They do need a very good center fielder. That's another thing too. His defense is very good. Everyone talks about his hitting and stuff, and I know I've done that a lot on this podcast. Everyone talks about his hitting, but his defense is even better. So George Springer, Mets, still far apart, but we'll see. Next up, Bauer seeking a 5 to 6 year deal. So Bauer last season has a 1.73 ERA, WHIP of 0.79. Innings pitched, he had 73. He had 17 walks and 100 strikeouts in just 60 games. So, not even in 60 games. I mean, he had it in less than 60 games. Obviously, he didn't pitch all 60 of them. But he had a very good season last year. He obviously won AL Cy Young. He had a good season. Bauer did. It's another guy that the Mets are looking at. It's another guy the Mets are looking at as, okay, let's go out and get this guy. Why don't we get this guy? Let's get this guy, right? It's another deal the Mets are just looking at. Obviously, I could very well see... I could very well see him going to the Mets, but even if it's not the Mets, the Angels have been a very hot topic of late. I think it would be a very great move for the Angels or someone like that. The one thing with Bauer that concerns me, and I'll get into the numbers and stuff in just a second. The one thing that concerns me a little bit with Bauer is the fact that I don't want to call him like off the field issues. I don't want to say he doesn't have off the field issues. He's a little talkative. Like, if you get what I'm saying, he starts trouble sometimes. I don't want to say it's like off the field issues where he's getting suspended and stuff, but he'll get his fines. He'll get his he'll get his moments where he's definitely him and the MLB are at odds. He definitely does have moments where he definitely has moments where he's a little weird. And that's the one problem. I don't know if he would be able to survive in a market like New York with the New York media, with the New York fans, with, especially Mets fans. Yankees fans, too. The Yankees fans are very hard on the players. I am. Yankees fans every year expect high expectations. Being that we're Yankees, we're the more luscious franchises in all sports. We're one of the richest in all sports. The pinstripe, the Yankees, all that stuff. Even the Mets, though. For the Mets fans that have been, they've had 2 World Series in their entire franchise history. They've been suffering for a very long time. Okay? For fans that, if Bauer then comes here and starts to struggle and he's still talking all and stuff and talk all the stuff, fans are going to start to get annoyed, fans are going to start to get impatient, and things are going to start to go south. Bauer would be an interesting move. Even if the Yankees get him or if the Mets get him, Bauer would be an interesting move, to say the very least. It would be. It would be an interesting move, because, there's times where, the Cincinnati Reds, a much smaller market. He hasn't had a deal really with the media. Come to New York, the New York media, just New York to general, big market. I feel like in a way he would struggle with the media. There would be a lot of stuff around him in the media, and I feel like sometimes it would be so like where he wasn't focused on the game, and I don't know. But he's a very good pitcher, though. He's a very good pitcher. I mean, what AL Cy Young. It would be a good move. It just would at the same time be a good move, and it would be a little risky because there's at times where he can act, a little unprofessional, and times where he acts a little unprofessional and things could go south. Bauer seeking a 5-6 year deal. Now, here's the one problem with giving him all the money. He's been an average pitcher his entire career. It wasn't until last season, the 60-game season, it was a very weird season, where he played insane, won a Cy Young Award, and did very well. And a Cy Young Award, obviously. So it wasn't until last season he really dominated and really played well. Obviously, he won an Cy Young Award, did all that good stuff. It wasn't until last season. So, what this means is it could be a little risky. I've always been a big believer in sports to say this, is I'm not a big fan of giving guys money right after they have an insane season. If they have one insane season, and then you give them all this money, and in that one season was just really a one-year wonder. I've always been a little concerned about that. I said it I know I'm kind of going on, I'm not really going off topic here, but I'm kind of exampling here even the Bills, when they signed Tre'Davious White, he was average his entire couple years of his career. He had a great year last year. They gave him all the money, and he's been decent this year. He's been pretty good. Nothing like he was last season. But even like a Gio Urshela, when he had a great 1 year, to give him all the money and stuff was, we didn't give him all the money. He just came back. But if we were to give him all the money, it would be a little risky because a lot of times these guys might have these great years, get all the money, and then they just stink the rest of the way. So, that could be a problem with Bauer. If he had one great year, then you all of a sudden pay him all this money, and now you're just, you pay him all this money and things like that, right? It's going to be interesting. It's going to get real interesting. But I feel like in a way it's a little risky because, he had one great year, and then other than that, he's been good. He hasn't been amazing. He's been good. But, that's the one thing. But the Mets got to be smart about this. They can't just jump on guys because they're big names. They got to be smart with the money. Interested clubs suggest free agent righty Trevor Bauer is seeking a 5 to 6 year contract worth $36 million to $40 million per season. According to MLB Network's John Heyman, at $36 million, Garrett Cole holds the current record for average annual salary. It makes sense that Bauer would look to break that. Our RJ Anderson ranked Bauer as the number 3 free agent on the market. The fact Yu Darvish was traded to for Zach Davies and 4 non-elite rookie ball prospects may be bad news for Bauer. Darvish is 4 years older than Bauer, and he's just as good, and he's owed $59 million through 2023. The Cubs still couldn't get much in a trade. In that case, is 5 to 6 years at $36+ million is a year really out there for Bauer? Maybe, though he may be aiming too high. That's the thing. Like I said, he might be aiming a little too high. 5 to 6 years for Bauer, for a guy that has one amazing year, a little interesting. He's had one amazing year, people. It hasn't been a consecutive string of insane years. He's had one really amazing year. So, just watch out with that. Some other free agents we could look at, to kind of base it off. And like I said, too, with the Yankees, I don't foresee the Yankees actually getting Bauer because Cole and Bauer go way back. They're not close at all. They actually despise each other. And if you had to ask me which one I would rather, Cole or Bauer, I'd much rather Cole. I would much rather Cole. But definitely, without a doubt, Bauer and Cole do not have a great relationship. For them to be on the same pitching staff would definitely be weird. So I don't foresee him coming to the Yankees, if anything, to the Mets. But even then, I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting. So Bauer seeking 5 to 6 year deal. One other deal is the Cardinals still interested in Colton Wong. He's obviously free agent as well. He's had a pretty solid career, but nothing crazy. Like I said, at this point, it's a lot of rumors. I'll just read the quick Colton Wong thing. Cardinals still interested in Wong. Although they declined his $12.5 million club option in November, the Cardinals maintained interest in the second baseman. Colton Wong reports MLB Network and Network's John Heyman. Obviously, a reunion would have to come at a lower salary, though perhaps for more total dollars across multiple reports. Our RJ Anderson ranked Wong the number 19 free agent on the market. Wong, 30, is a league average-ish hitter and an elite defender at second base. His best play, his only play, may be to wait until DJ LeMahieu signs, then engage the teams that missed out on him and need a second baseman. St. Louis could plug Tommy Edman at second base and Matt Carpenter at third, although that would make their infield defense a big liability. That's the thing. It's kind of funny how free agency works. Sometimes you got to wait till other players get signed, because then you could possibly get more money. Every team right now pretty much a lot of teams are looking at LeMahieu. Once LeMahieu gets signed, then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Dang it, we didn't get LeMahieu. But then Colton Wong's still out there. Colton Wong might get more money. It's all a business. It really is. It's all a business. It's all the marketing. It's all business. It's kind of a mind game. It's a little bit of a mind game, to be honest. It's a little bit of a mind game. It's a little bit of a mind game. I forgot. Just popped up in my head. By the way, fantasy basketball for one of the final topics as well. But it's a little bit of a mind game. It's some of these players will wait and then to see if a big name player will sign, and then if they sign, they'll go ahead and say, you know what, let me sign this contract now. It's It's sneaky moves. That's kind of the real stuff. Colton Long's not a bad second baseman though. He's nothing like a DeLeMahieu. He's nothing like some of these top end second basemen in the league. Colton Long isn't anyway. So yeah, that's kind of what I got there. Let me just get this other thing up really quickly here. Okay. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so New York Yankees news. Bauer's market doesn't include Yankees, like I said. It's actually kind of funny. Yesterday, with the with the Blake Snell trade to the Padres, that actually helps out the Yankees a lot. They obviously that actually helps out the Yankees a whole lot. The Yankees, Blake Snell being one of the dominant pitchers in the AL East, now that really opens up the door for the Yankees now to leave the AL East, and the Yankees are in a big position now to possibly win the AL East again. So there's obviously a very big opportunity there. But even this. Let's see. Yeah. By the way, obviously. By the way, it's even Trevor Bauer yesterday got into this little bit of even yesterday. There's been a couple things with Bauer too where he's gone into like Twitter beefs and stuff. It's just I don't know. I just don't think he would work with the New York media and the New York Yankees. I mean, if he came here, I guess it wouldn't be a bad move. I mean, I think the Yankees are completely out of that running. But it would be real interesting. To have Bauer and Cole in the same city would be pretty crazy, to say the very least, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll really see what happens. It's gonna be exciting. Like I said, no matter whatever teams these guys go to, I obviously want the Yankees to make some moves. But wherever these teams go, wherever these players go, obviously wherever these moves go, wherever these players go, it's still going to be exciting to see how it unfolds. This is the time of MLB where it's exciting. Off-season, anything's always exciting. Obviously, off-season's always exciting in the MLB. So, yeah, but that's kind of what I got for the MLB free agencies. Coming up next, we'll talk about Bills allowing fans for the playoff games. Coming up next. Alrighty. For some reason, let's see. Let's see. So Bills are allowing fans. Okay. Alright, hold on. I gotta find this. Bills. Alright, so, yeah, I'll just, do this. So, the Bills will be allowing fans, into the stadium for the season. So the governor of New York, he announced, obviously because he's the governor of New York, he's got to make the decision. Announces 6,700 Bills fans can attend playoff game, and he'll be there. So obviously, Bills will be allowing fans into the playoffs. Personally, I think it's good. I know there's a lot of people who have, different opinions on if fans or not should be allowed into stadiums. I personally, I think fans are okay in the stadiums. I mean, obviously you don't want a packed house with, 10, MetLife is 82,000. You don't want a packed house with 82,000 fans in that. But, if you could cut it down and really slim the numbers and make it small, like a 6,700 fans are really small. If you could do that, that's great. I think it's great. I mean, I know it's obviously been a really interesting year. I know some people say you should have fans, some people you shouldn't. I'm not going to really get into that whole the talk about that, but I personally think it's a good idea to have fans. First off, it's a playoff game. It gives a good playoff atmosphere. I mean, I know it's only 6,700 fans, but it's a whole lot better playing in front of fans than playing. I mean, I'm sure it's a whole lot better than playing in front of fans than playing in front of fake crowd noise. I mean, even the players, even if it's such a small number. I mean, the Bills Stadium to begin with really isn't a huge stadium. It's kind of tinier to begin with. So 6,700, I feel like would probably be pretty good for that place. But to be honest, I mean, actually, let me check. Let me check Bills. I think it's just Bills Stadium, right? I think that's all it is. Yeah, Bills Stadium. It's all it is. So Bills Stadium, it's not overly big. It's actually not too big. It's only really it's not too big, to be honest. It's let me see. Let me see how many how many seats in Buffalo Bills Stadium. 71,870. So there's 71,000 seats. Now, like for example, there's 71,000 seats. Compare that to MetLife, that is 82,000, which is Jet Stadium. So that's 11,000 more. It's not the smallest. I think the smallest actually. They're actually pretty big. It's actually pretty big. But yeah, so Bills will be allowing fans. So for 70, it's not like it's for the Bills, I think it's a good thing. Obviously, I think, I've even said this so many times to different people. If it means you wear a mask and you just go to, and if it means you can wear a mask and go to a game, I'm so for it because, I love going to sporting events, and that's why it actually stinks. I was planning on going to a couple of sporting events this season, but with the whole virus situation, that was not the case. Let me just get this back up. Let's get this back up here. Okay, so here we go. So Buffalo Bills granted permission to have fans at first playoff game, first crowd of the season. So yeah, so obviously they are allowed to have fans. It's a good thing, right? If you go there, right? Now if you limit, the outside tailgating stuff, if you have the social distance tailgates open and stuff like that, that stuff is fine with me. I mean, if it means to go wear a mask, sit 6 feet apart from someone to go watch a sporting event, I'm for it. I would love to do that personally. I would love to go to a sporting event. I mean, even if it's now, now it would be obviously different. Wearing a mask to go to a sporting event would probably be, a little annoying, but at the end of the day, it's what you got to do. So, I think it's fine, as long as, you keep these people safe and stuff, and you keep these, people, okay with it, as long as these people are okay with it, obviously, it's kind of, I guess you can kind of say go at your own risk. If you're worried about going, then you don't go. If you want to go and you're all in for it, like many of the Bills Mafia members, I'm sure are, then go, right? So, I think a part of this is because it is playoff football. It's going to create a different atmosphere instead of playing inside of a stadium with no fans. And also, I think part of it's too that the Bills fans have gone through many years of suffering to now finally host the playoff game, and then to have no fans there would kind of just explode it. It would kind of just take all the fun out of it. I'm going to go watch the game on TV. I'm sure a lot of people would much rather be there. So for the Bills hosting a playoff game in a very, it's true. The Buffalo Bills are hosting their first playoff game, I think this will be the first playoff game they host in 25 years. Isn't that just crazy? 25 years, this will be the first playoff game they ever host. So, for them, for that to be the case, allow fans, definitely. I mean, that is great. For the fans of Buffalo, they've gone through years of suffering with this team to now finally have an opportunity to go watch a game, to go watch a playoff game. I think it's a great thing for the Bills. I think this is a great thing for the city of Buffalo. I know there's a lot of people out there. The Buffalo Bills fans are some of the most diehard out there. I think it's a great idea to allow fans in. I think it's going to work out fine. I think, a lot of these other teams have gone well. Jacksonville's done well with it. Houston's done well with it. Colts have done well with it. Chiefs have done well with it. Pretty much all the teams that are allowing fans, they've done a pretty good job of, not having too many. I know Philadelphia had fans for one game and then they shut it back down. MetLife and the Jets and Giants haven't had it at all this season. But I know there's a lot of people out there who have gone to many of the games, and I've heard many things that it's been okay. It's a safe environment. So, as long as you keep it safe and you just go there and you just watch a game, there's not going to be as much, after parties and stuff. You kind of go there, watch the game, and go back home. But I think it's a good thing for the Bills, and it's a good thing for the NFL. I think it is. Obviously, being in an empty stadium for a playoff game must just probably not as fun. It's just not as fun to have at least a little bit of fans there and at least have a little bit of a home crowd to root you on. I think is a good thing for the Buffalo Bills. So Buffalo Bills granted permission for the head to have fans at a playoff game, first crowd of the season. Orchard Park, NY. When the Buffalo Bills host their first playoff game in 25 years, they will be doing so in front of a live audience. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced Wednesday that the Bills Stadium will be open to a limited number of fans for the playoffs. Bills game had been closed to fans for the entire 2020 regular season as a part of New York State's COVID-19 protocols regarding professional sports. The plan allows for 6,772 fans, with attendance needing to register a negative COVID-19 test before being granted entrance. The team will work with the state's Department of Health to conduct contact tracing afterwards. Fans will be socially distant throughout the stadium with masks required at all times. Fans who fail to comply will be ejected. Dr. Howard Zucker, the Commissioner of Health for New York, said last week that this is a public health model that's never been done anywhere in the country before, calling it a demonstration project. This hopes that the model can provide an example of how to open future mass gathering events to the public. I kind of want to, I know a lot of this article is just about the regular COVID stuff, but I'm trying to find just some more sports stuff here. Bills owners Terry and King Pugula joined for the announcement. Roughly 6,200 tickets will be available for purchase on Thursday to season ticket holders who opted into purchasing tickets earlier this season. Tickets are not expected to be available to the general public. If the Bills advance to host a divisional round game, fans also will be permitted to attend. Fans who attend the wildcard game will not be allowed to purchase tickets for the divisional game. Fans are required to play for the COVID-19 testing, which will be administered in Lot 4 at Bills Stadium at a reduced cost of $63. The cost of the test will be included in the ticket price. Stadium gates will open 2 hours before the game, with staggered entrances times for fans to minimize crowding, which was all major concern for Cuomo throughout the process. All concession stands will be offered the same items and will be cashless. Tailgating will remain banned. Will remain banned. They recognize the importance of Bills hosting for their first playoff game since 1995 to the Western New York community, but also pleaded with the community to remain vigilant. For all the Bills fans, please, everyone, take these measures seriously, he said. We made a progress in COVID virus over the past few weeks. The numbers are down. We want to keep them down. Our objective there is to support our team in many ways as we can, Terry Pegula said. I'll tell them to be safe, be smart, and most importantly, be loud. Let's see. That's pretty much the article. So, like I said, it's good. I mean, it's obviously, I think it's good for the Bills fans, good for obviously if they said Buffalo, and I think it's a good thing, and for the NFL too. I think it's going to be exciting to obviously, finally have a playoff game to host for the Bills. I think it's going to be exciting, first time in 25 years. And even in the article it said, they know how important this is. This is a fan base that has been through years of suffering. I mean, year after year after year, they've suffered, and to now finally get that opportunity to host the playoff game, I'm sure a lot of them were, wanting to go to the playoff game and obviously watch, but at the same time with the, obviously they even said tailgating. That's another thing, I can see why tailgating's, banned. Obviously that's probably the better thing to do, just ban tailgating and just head right into the stadium. I think that's probably the best option to do it. And that's another thing too with the players. There's no let's go out and eat after the game or stuff like that. It's kind of go to the stadium, pretty much go to your job, go to the stadium and stuff, and then come back, go back to your home. Go to the stadium, get to the stadium, warm up, play, interviews, home. It's no hanging out in the locker room and stuff, and that's kind of the stuff with, the Bills too. So the tailgating is eliminated, which makes sense, which makes a ton of sense. So it's exciting for Bills fans, and I'm excited too. It should be fun. I like fans in the stadium. I think Super Bowl II is planning on having fans as well. But I'm sure that's too also up in the air as the moment at this very moment. So I know Tampa is where the Super Bowl is being held, and I know Tampa has had fans this entire season. So Super Bowl should have fans there. But coming up next, we got college basketball, college football, Nets, Knicks, NBA, and fantasy basketball. Let me just get this up here. Let's see. Alrighty. So, college basketball, we'll start off with that. College basketball. Okay, so today we got some college basketball games on. We got Wisconsin and Minnesota. I give Wisconsin the win. Michigan and Maryland, I give Michigan the win. And Oregon, California, I give Oregon the win. Let's go to college football now. I'll tell you what, yesterday was a pretty embarrassing game for Florida, to say the very least. They got smoked yesterday. Kyle Trask really struggled. He did not throw a touchdown. He threw 3 interceptions. He really struggled. So, not good, for a nationally televised game to show that in front of the scouts that I'm sure we're watching. But he's got to find a way to shake it off and stuff. For some games on today, Tulsa, Mississippi State, I give Tulsa the win. And San Jose State, Ball State, give San Jose State the win. And tomorrow, there's a ton of games on tomorrow. You got the Citrus Bowl. Well, you got the New Year's Six Bowls. You got the Peach Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl. Orange Bowl's on Saturday, but you got the Fiesta Bowl as well. So, a lot of good games on tomorrow. Should be good. And then for the Nets and the NBA, this is good as well. Let's see. Okay, so yesterday, the Nets won, Clippers won, Hornets won, Lakers won, Heat won, and the Celtics won. Nets yesterday dominated. They won 145 to 141. We had a big fourth quarter, 43 points in the fourth quarter. I had a huge fourth quarter. What I really liked yesterday was the way Kevin Durant played. He played 35 minutes. 33 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. He was 1 assist or 2 assists shy of having a triple-double, but he had a double-double, 33 points, 11 rebounds. I'll tell you what, for a guy like KD, too, coming off an Achilles injury, he has been everything Nets fans have wanted him to be, and he looks like the KD before the Achilles. He has. He has looked everything like it, and he's been playing some insane basketball. And I'll tell you what, for all those people out there who did not think he was going to be good or thought or got worried about it, I'm telling you, he looks everything like the KD we saw. Kyrie struggled in the first half, picked it up later, though. He had 25 points, KD had 33. Just an excellent game. And I love the way, too, KD had his first big minutes of the season yesterday as well. He had obviously 35 minutes, his first big minutes of the season, and I thought he handled it great. He looked great out there, and he played very good game. And as for today's game, we got the Cavaliers-Pacers. I give Pacers the win. Bulls-Wizards, give Wizards the win. 76ers-Magic, give 76ers the win. Kings-Rockets, give Rockets the win. Raptors-Knicks, give Raptors the win. Pelicans-Thunder, give Pelicans the win. And Jazz-Sun, I give Suns. I give Jazz the win. And then the Knicks as well, they played today against the Raptors. They're coming off a pretty good big win. That game comes on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MSG. They're coming off a good win. But they also got to find a way to pick up some more wins. 2-2. They found a way to get a good win. But they just got to keep on focusing on the game ahead of them. And obviously the Nets got a big win. Knicks play today, and then the Nets play tomorrow as well. But those are your games for today in the NBA. And then now I move on to fantasy basketball. I'm currently looking pretty good in fantasy basketball. If I keep it up, I'm on my way to getting my first win of the season. today I did pretty well. Yesterday I did pretty well. I'm winning right now, 631 to 573. So looking pretty good. I got Bradley Beal, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, Victor Oladipo, Kyle Lowry, and Fred VanVleet playing. And other than that, no injuries really. Jimmy Butler, he's out with the ankle. I don't know really what's going to happen with him, if he's going to be out, how much longer he's going to be out. But it should be interesting there. And then quick for fantasy football, by the way, all my acquisitions went through there as well. So, yeah, that's what I got for fantasy football. Big win for the Nets, I'll tell you that for sure. So, yeah. So that's what I got for the podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Obviously it was another good podcast today. It's crazy. It's already 2020, obviously, or 2021. Sorry. Obviously, so it's exciting. I'm excited to obviously get 2021 rolling. A lot of good sports. Tomorrow will be the normal Football Friday. Give you all the game picks. Give you the final Week 17 game picks of the season. Crazy that I'm saying it, but it's the truth. That's it. This Sunday's it. This is it for the Jets. This is it for, this is it. This is the season for the New York Jets and for many other teams. And there's also many other teams, like I just talked today with the Bills, that will be making the playoffs. So tomorrow will be my final game picks of the regular season. And don't you guys worry, I will be doing game picks for the playoffs. So final game picks of the regular season. And then we move into playoffs, which should be exciting. I'm really excited. So, yeah. So with all that being said, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.